Hey everyone, it's Robert with Sidestep Adventures. I'm out here with the Sidestep Adventure crew, and today we're going to visit the grave of Silas Ramey out here in a rural, quiet part of Georgia where it stands mostly forgotten about. We're going to take you a look and tell you a little bit about it. This is a really impressive grave site, just out here forgotten about in the woods. And coming up on the main grave, obviously you can see it over there. It's been walled in with fieldstone. But coming up on it, I noticed some more. There's a mushroom. I noticed some fieldstones right here with these, I think, what are these called? Palmetto plants?
I'm not sure what those are. Some kind of grape or something.
No, the pointy plant. I think that's palmetto.
Could be. I think it is palmetto palm.
But so this area, it seems to be rocked in with fieldstones and has the palmetto plants growing in the center. So I'm not sure if that was another grave or just where they planted those plants at.
This wall is
back
crumbled,
then.
so some of it could have rolled off.
As you can see, as Brian was stating, the rock wall surrounding the grave is falling apart. And that's probably where these fieldstones came from, at my feet down there. It's definitely where they came from. I don't think those are marking other graves. We're going to take a walk around the wall first, and then we'll visit the gravestone. And I'll tell you what I do know about Silas Ramey. This has to be one of the most beautiful grave sites I've seen, although it's in horrible disrepair. And it's a shame that it got this way and has just been forgotten about. As you can see, the cemetery area, or the gravesite area, is surrounded by cedar trees. You see that quite often at old cemetery places around here. And we spoke to a gentleman who pulled up beside us when we first stopped here at this grave before we started filming, and he told me that there are several other Confederate graves in the woods out here on a hill, but they are all forgotten about and he couldn't even find them now. The land where the land that they are on has been clear cut, so it's been changed. He says all the roads have been changed and the only way to find them would be hours of riding through the woods on a four-wheeler. And it's something that I've said before, what a shame it is to be forgotten about, as these people seem to have been. As you can see, it
was probably all like farmland at the time, and they were buried up on a field, a hill, you know, rolling meadows. And over the years, you know, the people stopped farming, the kids moved off. Probably his grandkids are dead and his great-grandkids live in like New York or something. So there's nobody here left to care.
So there are apparently other graves out through here in this small cemetery. Silas's grave is the only one that's marked. You can see possible indention right there where there may have been a grave, or may be a grave, and another one back here.
Yeah, I think all through here, there's an indention over there. So we're probably standing on somebody's grave. Look how that's crumbled, but you can see how it used to dome on over.
Yeah, it used to have a dome top.
Cylindrical, but yeah, dome definitely.
And now let me tell you what little bit I do know about Silas Ramey. He was a Confederate veteran served in the Georgia Infantry, as evident by his tombstone. However, inaccurate on his tombstone is his death date. He served in the Battle of Gettysburg, where he was wounded and captured by the Union Army. In September of 1863, his leg was amputated, and he died shortly thereafter. I presume he died up in Gettysburg, and his body was transported back to its burial place here in rural Georgia. He would have been an older man serving in the war during that time, at 60 years old, at the time of his death. And as you can see, his tomb has completely fallen apart. He was given quite a rich burial for that time period, especially during war. He was buried in a metal casket. Over here we have another indention, probably another grave.
Was entered into the Gettysburg Prisoner of War roll. They were lucky to get him home to bury.
Now traffic passes as Silas Ramey's grave sits quietly in the woods here, all but forgotten about. But just for a minute, he's remembered.
Be nice to see somebody come in and rebuild this thing. It's a shame, because at one time, you know, he had family that cared. You know, people came out and visited his grave, maybe wept by his grave. Now they're all in graves themselves. And passing generations, people forget, people lose interest, and it just is out here to wither away.